Good evening. Welcome to this Tuesday night edition of Newsmax Prime. I'm J.D. Hayworth. Of prime interest tonight, media blitz, as Donald Trump speaks out on the morning news shows in an effort to cool down criticism after his much publicized feud with debate host and Fox anchor Megyn Kelly. Miranda Kahn monitored those high-energy interviews and joins us now from the Newsmax Prime newsroom. Miranda?
JD, Donald Trump covered an array of topics during that interview this morning. And during that conversation, he explained why he thinks he's resonating so well with voters.
The thing that I have tapped into is that people are finding our leadership is incompetent. And they know that I am far from that. They know that I get things done. They know that I'm a smart guy who gets things done, and I want things done properly. And I don't want them done for myself. I made a lot of money. I don't want money. I don't want people giving me money. I want to do something great, and great is to make our country great again. There can be no greater service that I do, and that's what I want to do. I want to make our country great. Our infrastructure is falling apart. We need military. We have to take care of our vets.
Trump was also asked about the very controversial nuclear deal with Iran. If given the opportunity, he says he would have handled the situation differently, saying it all comes back to the world's perception that Obama administration lacks leadership.
First of all, I would have doubled the sanctions. Then I would have said, before we start, I want our prisoners back. Then after that, I would have made a good deal. And there wouldn't have been 24
but your
days.
Allies,
and by the way,
your allies aren't with you on the sanctions. They want to do business.
No, that's part of leadership. You got to get the allies with you. You got to get them. Of course, Putin's not going to. I mean, the different people that are involved aren't going to be with you. You know why? Because they can't. They have no respect for our president.
And as you might imagine, Mr. Trump did not stop there. He also took aim at Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton when comparing his policies to those of Clinton's. Trump says he's much more capable than her to lead. JD?
Thanks, Miranda. For more on this story, we're pleased to be joined by former House Speaker and 2012 Republican presidential candidate Newt Gingrich. Newt is also the author of the book Breakout: Pioneers of the Future, Prison Guards of the Past, and the Epic Battle That Will Decide America's Fate. Newt, thanks for making time here on Newsmax Prime.
Well, it's great to be with you, and it's always fun just to have a chance to chat with you.
Well, 20 years ago, sir, you were the leader of a conservative reform movement, so much so that the Washington Press Corps dubbed you the American Prime Minister. Now, there is once again a clamor for conservative reform. Can Donald Trump provide it, and how would you describe him?
Well, I think Trump is certainly one of the people capable of providing it, and he has made an enormous impact while spending virtually no money. I've never seen anybody do a better job of using earned media to get his messages across. You have to take him very seriously. There are a lot of good candidates. I was very impressed last Thursday between the two debates that you had so many quality people running to be the Republican nominee. I think it's probably the best overall group I've ever seen, the deepest bench, if you will, of capabilities. But Trump currently is dominant in part just because he is such an extraordinary performer. I mean, he learns every day. He evolves. He is one of the smartest people running, and you can see it. Still a long way from the first vote next February 1st in Iowa, so I don't think anybody should jump to conclusions. But he clearly is a force that has to be reckoned with.
Now, you use the word performer, and some people, Newt, might take that in a pejorative context, but it has been said that presidential politics is two-thirds theater in terms of conveying a message, conveying your persona. Would you rank him at the top in terms of that kind of performance?
Well, look, Ronald Reagan was a great performer. Whether you like him or dislike him, Bill Clinton is a great performer. There's a Barack Obama, who I disagree with about almost everything, nonetheless beat Hillary Clinton in 2008 because he was a much better performer than she was. And if you watch Hillary this year, she hasn't learned anything about how to be an effective candidate. If anything, I think she's worse this year than she was back in 2008. In that pattern, Donald Trump clearly has learned an amazing number of skills. He was probably always a good salesman. He took over his father's business. He grew it into a much bigger business. He's always been kind of a showman. But I think the years he spent with NBC on The Apprentice, he really learned a lot about dealing with television, dealing with audiences, what works, what doesn't work. And I would say he's one of the best people with very short sound bites that I've ever seen. And what I particularly find impressive is he's always on offense. I mean, you ask him questions, he turns them around on you, and he's back on offense in seconds. He's never on defense for very long. And he has a level of energy that we have very seldom seen in a candidate.
Newt, this morning in an interview, Trump talked policy and his plan for the campaign. Let's take a listen to what he had to say and get your reaction afterwards.
I know policy better than anybody. I know politics as well as anybody. I've been doing it all my life, and I've been doing it from the other side, which in a certain way gives you a better perspective. But you will see what's going to happen.
What about that? Your take on what Donald said?
Well, first of all, he doesn't know policy better than everybody. That's silly. But he thinks he does because he thinks he knows everything better than everybody. And that's his persona. That's who he is. What's going to be interesting to watch is he clearly now understands that he has made sort of phase one. He's a big name. Now he's got to prove there's substance behind the name. My guess is that he is assembling a pretty good team because he's a good manager. He doesn't run all those hotels and all those golf courses without being a pretty darn good manager. And so he's going to pull together a team now to write papers, and you'll watch him over the next 6 or 8 weeks. He'll release a series of position papers, and he will have studied them enough to be able to get by on television and radio answering questions about them. And so he'll be more substantive in the next phase than he was in the first phase. But in the first phase, he had to prove that he was a persona, that he was a big enough character to become the front runner. And now he's got to prove that he knows enough to remain the front runner. And that's going to be a fascinating test.
Newt, what do you think it is about Trump that makes him so appealing at this point?
Well, it's more than Trump. If you take Donald Trump's numbers and Ben Carson's numbers and Carly Fiorina's numbers, you've got about 40% of the electorate now in the Republican Party picking people who have never held public office. Now, that tells you that you have a huge chunk of the Republican Party that is fed up with politics as usual. They're fed up with Washington. They want very bold change. And it'll be interesting to watch and see. I mean, I think part of the reason you saw Fiorina jump so dramatically after the debate last Thursday is that all of a sudden here was a new, clear, tough, articulate voice who seemed to know a lot about what she was talking about. So I think you're going to see a continued growth of the desire. Look, you can't be in all the different messes we're in simultaneously, whether it's what's happened in Ferguson this week, or it's the failure of so many public schools to educate children, or it's the economy that is the weakest recovery in 70 years, or it's ISIS killing, beheading people.
And let me turn to another trouble spot before we have to let you go. The Iran deal. A lot of Democrats coming out against it. Is there enough momentum to overturn it? 15 seconds.
There may be enough momentum because it was a surrender, not an agreement. And as people learn more about it, the American people are more and more opposed to it.
Newt Gingrich, I always learn something when I visit with you, and it's no different this evening. Thanks so much for your time. We look forward to having you back again real soon on Newsmax Prime. Now, the cap that Donald Trump has been wearing on the campaign trail and at campaign stops, blazing out his Make America Great Again slogan, has become a sensation. Now you can get your very own Make America Great Again cap, a $25 value, free with this offer. All you have to do is pay shipping and handling. Go to newsmax.com/TrumpCap or call 1-800-485-4350. We should point out this is not an endorsement, implied or otherwise, of the Trump campaign, but it is a chance for you to get this cap. And again, the phone number is 1-800-485-4350.